Good day, watch fans. I want to introduce to you today my new weekly segment, Watch Talk Weekly, where we'll be discussing different matters that concern watches. So welcome to Watch Talk Weekly. So this is a segment I thought I'd put together each week now, discussing different things. We're going to look at viewers' comments. We're going to be looking at prices on different dealers' websites and Chrono 24, discussing the market and much more. Please stay tuned. So Watch Talk Weekly, we are going to be first off looking at some of your viewer comments, and I'm going to be looking at them, reading them out and discussing my thoughts on them. And comment yourself in the comments and let me know what you think on some of these. So the first comment we have got, this is relating to a video I did where I mentioned that Rolex ADs are giving you free money in some cases. So the comment says, they're not giving anyone free money. Their watches, some of them afford you a chance to sell at a higher price than you paid for it. It's the same with anything else, be it cars, clothes, jewellery, furniture, sneakers or whatever. After all, it's only worth what someone is willing to pay. Now, I do agree with that in some sense. Most things for sale are only at the price they are because people are willing to pay it. But with some of these high-end watches, you are guaranteed free money. If you can go in and pick up a Rolex Daytona at £12,000 in the ADs or £12,500, you are guaranteed to be able to sell that for around £20,000, especially if it's like a Panda model. Now, it's not, you've got to find someone to pay £20,000 for it. Somebody will pay £20,000 for it. Now, with cars and jewellery, these things aren't renowned for increasing in value or holding a premium on the second-hand market. Watches are holding that premium. The next comment is, I am worried about getting a fake from grey market. What are the chances of this happening? Now, it depends where you go to source your second-hand watch or your grey market watch. If you're looking to find it on Facebook Marketplace or eBay or an advert somewhere or just a general Facebook post, then you need to do your homework. There is a chance this watch, I'm not saying it is, but there's a chance this watch could be a counterfeit Rolex or a replica Rolex. Not all of them, some of them obviously are coming from reputable people, but if you're getting your grey market watch from a reputable dealer, one with a good reputation, one that obviously can show you all the relative paperwork, the papers, and obviously the history tell you a bit about the history of the watch, then this is going to be a guaranteed real watch. Now, you're always running the risk if you're buying something second-hand, but if you go to a reputable dealer, then you will definitely be getting a real Rolex watch. The next comment now, this makes me sad. It says, I went into an AD last week and I was basically laughed out the store. I knew full well I wasn't going to walk out with a new watch. I merely wanted to be put on a list and have a chat, and maybe have a look at a few of the watches. The environment was nothing short of hostile. I was asked what my purchase history was there and replied with none so far. I was then told that there was zero chance of me getting called for any watches. Now, this is the problem I've been talking about in other videos I've been talking about with authorised dealers. That man's money is as good as anybody's. Everybody has to start somewhere. Why can't his purchase history start with a basic model Rolex watch? Why would somebody laugh at you for wanting to spend money with them? Now, the business is driven by customers. If there was no customers, Rolex wouldn't exist, watch shops wouldn't exist, ADs wouldn't exist. They would not have a customer base. So laughing at somebody wanting to spend their money, and a lot of money at that, I find very insulting. I'm very sad this has happened. I wish they'd maybe told us the AD or where it was, but obviously I know they're not going to because they don't want it highlighted in case there is a chance they could get a watch. Eventually, maybe somewhere further down the line. I know in that case they were told they're not, but it's interesting to see how badly some of you are being treated, and it does disgust me, to be honest. The next comment comes from somebody that used to work in an ADs, and this is very interesting. I used to work with Rolex. ADs will get a delivery every month based on what they have requested and what Rolex HQ will give them. So it's pot luck. Also, I've never heard of demo watches. We've always had the real thing. This was where I mentioned where watches have a blocked movement. I personally don't know how that protocol is happening, but I have noticed that some watches have a blocked movement, or they're not running even when they're moved or wound. They don't seem to work inside. But that is interesting how it's pot luck. So even the authorised dealers, I think this was on the video I mentioned, Are They the Real Victims, don't have a say in what they get. They request watches. So they're trying to basically sell blindly. They're waiting for the watches to come in, and then whatever watches they have, they're then trying to sell them. And again, by creating this waiting list and creating this demand, it's creating obviously their customer base in theory. This is another interesting comment. I've spoken to some people that deal in watches, and probing about your occupation and income level is also for the safety of the consumer as well. They want to gauge if the person isn't cashing out their kid's college fund to get a watch. Now, I wish all shops and industry was kind and caring as an authorised dealer in making sure you can afford the purchase. I've never heard of another shop or another business going, can you definitely afford this, when you're offering to hand them the money. Most people will just take the money and give you the product. Now, I think that's a bit of a cop-out on them then finding reasons for digging into your personal finances. I think it's more of a case they want to know if you have a job or you're a high-end person that should be wearing the Rolex, not whether you can afford it. I think that, like I said, there's no reason why anybody should question where my money comes from. Here's another very good comment. If I want to purchase a Rolex sports model, my money should be as good as anybody else's. Bingo, I've never flipped a watch in my life, but in the end, salesmen should not have to care what you do with the watch after you purchase it. You bought it, it's yours, flip it if you want. You're the person who owns it, not them. I understand that they want to sell to people who will actually wear it, but again, this just loops back around to Rolex. It's their fault for limiting supply to make their brand seem more exclusive. Never have I read a more true comment in my life. If I own something, it is up to me what I do with it. I shouldn't then be monitored and controlled and made sure that I keep that possession and I'm not allowed to pass it on or sell it or do what I want with it. I've given them the money. They've made their money off the watch, but they don't want people then also making money off the watch, is the top and bottom of it. And you're very right with this comment saying that they have made it almost hard to get, so that is creating the demand. It's true. By holding back the supply, that is going to create the demand. Business 101. And this comment sort of like baffled me a little bit. My money is as good as anybody else's money. That's not quite true though, is it? There are customers that have been coming back regularly for 3, 5, 10 years to their store buying watches, jewellery, etc. and are obviously more valuable customers than a new prospective customer. This is Business Fundamentals 101. As a business owner, you will obviously reward your regulars and treat them better than someone you might never see again after you give them what they want. Any business owner would do the same thing, whether it's a restaurant owner that lets their regulars get a table when they want it, or skip the wait time, or every other business in between. Understanding how the world works will save people from this headache and confusion moving forward. Now, I don't really agree with that. Now, everybody has to start somewhere. How do they know that I'm not going to become a regular customer? If I walked into a corner shop, would they not sell me a pint of milk because I haven't been in there buying cereal and bread and eggs for the last 3 weeks? If you turned away customers because you hadn't seen them before, you would never have any customers. Everybody has to start somewhere. I personally run a business myself, and if I treated customers differently because they're the first time I've seen them, then they would never stay. Now, every customer who walks through that door is treated the same. Yes, you might have regular customers that you look after, but that does not mean you push new customers away by being rude, insulting, and not selling them or serving them. And the last comment that leads on to my next point of view, or my next point of call, is I would rather buy a Tudor. That leads on to today's food for thought. So today's food for thought, I am looking at whether Rolex are trying to bring Tudor to be what Rolex used to be. Now hang on there with me on this comment. Rolex always used to be a tool watch. It used to be a working man's watch. It used to be a watch you would wear to work for a purpose. A pilot would wear a GMT. A submariner was designed for diving, or as a everyday tool you wear to keep the time. Now Rolex now have become such a high-end brand that people aren't wearing these to work, they're wearing them as status symbols. But a Rolex used to be, years and years ago, in the £1,000 to about £3,000 range, and that's what people would be paying for them, even not that long ago. Now Tudor is in that price range, so a Rolex bumping up the Rolex models to the high-end models, the luxury models, the elitist models, and Tudor are going to become the new everyday working man's watch. Now I personally think this might be the case. Now Tudor is a great watch, and again look very similar to Rolex as they're their sister company, but are Rolex trying to push Tudor and make that the watch that's available to people, and make Rolex the elitist model that's only available to the lucky few? Now the next thing we're going to be looking at today is weekly watches. We're going to be looking at Chrono 24 and seeing what this week's latest watches are like. So as we look at Chrono 24, so we're looking at the latest, newest models. So as you can see here, we've got a lovely Datejust 36. Now this is going for £6,250. It's a 1995 model. Now that's a very interesting dial. I quite like this dial. It's got diamond markers on there. There's also diamond shoulders by the looks of it, or the tops of them anyway, on the lugs. That dial is a very interesting dial. I've not seen one of these before, but did I say Datejust? Day? I think I might have, but it's a Datejust. Now it's a really interesting dial. I've not seen something like that before. It reminds me of something that could be a little bit Aztec. Now as we look now, we have got an unworn Jubilee bimetal Guinness. Now this is going for £17,000. Now we're starting to see the new Rolex models coming out. Now I personally absolutely love this watch. Look at that. Absolutely stunning. Especially in the Jubilee bracelet. I think it's absolutely beautiful watch. Also now we've got some lady dates. We've got some lady Datejusts. We've got a Sea Dweller Deep Sea. Now that is about £12,000. That's a 2021 model. Now this is a very good buy in my eyes. We've got a 2020 Rolex Starbucks, which is £13,600 with original box and original papers. Again, a very good buy that looks like. There's a Rolex Submariner Date going for £12,450, the 2022 model, again with box and papers. Now this is a lovely watch now, the Rolex Daytona 18 karat rose gold meteorite dial. This is going for £74,000 on Chrono 24 with the Oyster Flex. Now I only like the meteorite dials on the Daytonas. I personally don't like them on the GMTs. Controversial, but I don't. Also there's some more lady Datejusts. Now that's an interesting Daytona, white gold, box and papers, 2008 model. Ooh, £250,000. Now that is a very interesting watch. It's got some ruby bezel markers, diamond hour markers, and that dial is absolutely stunning. I've not seen one of these before, and the strap is really nice as well. There's like a leather red strap. Is there any more on this watch? It is absolutely lovely. I am really interested in that. Unfortunately, it is a little bit out my price range. We got some more lady Datejusts. We got an Explorer 2. We got some deep sea dwellers, or it's just a normal sea dweller, sorry. Nice Yachtmaster 40. We've got a Milgauss. Now these have obviously been discontinued recently, so I can see the price of these maybe starting to creep up. There's another Daytona there on an Oyster Flex. Now that's another nice, not a very good looking dial there. I'm not sure if that's the picture or that's the actual dial. It looks a bit funny to me, if I'm honest. I don't know about that. Could be the picture, but yeah, I'm not sure on that one. Interesting dial, but I don't know. There's a Day-Date 40, again one of my favourite watches, that is. £43,000, original box, original papers, 2020 model. We got the Yachtmaster 42 on the Oyster Flex. We got another Lady Datejust Rolex Skydweller Bimetal. I'm not a big fan of the bimetal Skydwellers. Datejust 2 in bimetal with the black dial. Again, it's great to see a lot of these are box and papers as well. Some Oyster Perpetuals. Datejust 41 with Wimbledon dial. Again, £10,000 with the Oyster bracelet. Now, this is an interesting one. Again, got £125,000. Is the Platinum Daytona. Now, this is a 2019 model with what looks like a bust down dial from what I can see. I don't know if that's a factory dial or not, but that is absolutely stunning. I love that watch. It's £125,000, which again is very much out my price range by about £125,000. Let's see what else we got here. We got a root beer. Is that all rose gold root beer? Lovely, £33,000. Box and papers, 2022, condition new. We've got a John Mayer for £73,000 there, unworn. Got another root beer in the bimetal, steel and rose. This is a lovely one. I do love the champagne dial on the Daytona with the Oyster Flex. Absolutely stunning watch, £33,000. Looks absolutely gorgeous. What else we got going here? Got another Yachtmaster 42, another Starbucks. We've got another Daytona. That's an interesting Daytona. This is a 2019 model. Artisan de Geneva Tribute 6240. Now, that is beautiful. £75,000. Original box, original papers. Look at that beautiful bezel and beautiful dial. Very much an old school looking Daytona. I'm a big fan of that. Open case back, yep, open case back. Stunning watch. We've got some absolutely fantastic watches this week now on Chrono 24. Some Submariners, no dates. £10,000. We've got a Submariner date bimetal. There we go, the Meteorite Dial GMT Master 2, the watch that I said I'm not a fan of. I'm honestly not. I'm very much a traditionalist when it comes to a Pepsi GMT. I like it with a black dial. I do like the white gold black dial, but I'm not a big fan of the white gold Meteorite dial, or the blue. I don't really like the blue either. We're just going to go to the bottom of the first page today to look on the weekly watches, so we haven't got much further to go. We've got a Deep Sea Dweller, or Sea Dweller, I keep saying Deep Sea for some reason today. We've got Rolex Explorer, £7,300. Lovely, 36mm, that's a good buy. There's an old Daytona, 2004 model with the steel bezel. I do like the steel bezel Daytonas. I think they're really, really nice. £20,000, that's a pretty good buy, original box and papers. Datejust 36, again another one there, £21,000, that's 2010 model. Something about the steel bezel on a Daytona that looks really, really nice. So that's today's Chrono 24 weekly watch look. So we just had a look at a couple of watches there. There's some absolute stunners this week. So we'll see now next week if there's any of them being sold or there's some new absolute stunners coming up. So, thank you for tuning in to Weekly Watch Talk. So, I'll be discussing different matters on each week, what's going on in the watch world. We'll always be looking at the weekly watch lookup, so we'll be looking at what watches are there on Chrono24 or other dealers. I might pick a dealer's page and see what they are selling that week. So please like, subscribe and continue to support the channel.